This is Iran's fastest missile ever. They call it the Fatah missile. Iran says it is a missile designed to change the rules of the game. Fatah is a medium-range missile with a range of about 1,400 kilometers. That puts a large part of the Middle East within reach, but range is not what makes it frightening. The speed is. Iran claims Fatah can reach hypersonic speeds, more than 10 times the speed of sound. At that speed, reaction time shrinks to just a few seconds, and its flight path is not a simple arc. Fatah is designed to maneuver during its terminal phase, making it far more difficult for air defense systems to track and intercept.
So this is South Korea's El-Sam? But wait, how does a missile even move like that? It's not just flying straight. It's actually steering itself midair, shifting directions with tiny thrusters like it's alive. This test shows how far missile tech has come, missiles that can think before they strike. Kind of scary, but also incredible.
China shows its teeth to the world.
Пуск! Есть пуск!
China's policy is very clear. China will not fire the first shot, but China will not allow you to fire the second shot. China will never allow the United States to launch a war against China, conventional or nuclear, without suffering devastating consequences. If you have not watched the Victory Day parade in Beijing on September the 3rd, one of the weapons China demonstrated, we call it 61, because it can contain 60 nuclear warheads plus one hydrogen bomb. Now, in the world of today, let me tell you, which country has hydrogen bomb? China is the only country with hydrogen bomb. And that ICBM can cover every corner of the world in less than 20 minutes and destroy any target in any corner of the world without any possibility of being intercepted. I hope Washington has learned the lesson. If you want to have war, you will get war. If you want to destroy China, you will be destroyed. If you want to impose nuclear war on China, you will be wiped out by nuclear war. This is very China's policy.
Hey, Shalom, Barakatha Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKodash, the ones apostles, bishops, elders of great millstone, and Shalom, true brothers on the highways and byways, doing the works sincerely and faithfully, continually fighting that good fight of faith, Lord willing, we have found that number to be delivered, right? So I just want to, put together a couple quick videos, as you've seen, concerning, the preparation and the gearing up of this third world war, all right? And, truth be told, man, this war is going to be a war like no other war. You know, aside of the thermonuclear missiles that are going to destroy this place, of course, but just the technology that these nations are now, gathering and have access to, you know, the amount of things that are happening with these countries, as far as their munitions are concerned, the hypersonic missiles, the hydrogen bombs, all these things are state of the art, right? So at the end of the day, America is going to be taken out in the most grandest of fashions, man. All right. Now, these nations, such as Iran, they may not, by the time the Third World War truly starts, they may not have a missile to get over to this country. But it won't surprise me if Russia, and China, whom already been, strategically aiding in giving Iran advice, it wouldn't surprise me if they give them thermonuclear missiles to shoot over here. All right. So all of it's going down. Everything's in place. The Lord is, putting a few finishing touches on a few of these nations, and it's about to be on. Revelation 11 and 14. It says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right. And how fast is it coming? All we're hearing about is nuclear missiles being tested, ICBM missiles being tested. Come on, man. There's no other way to rationalize this, that these nations are now on the brink of ready to launch those nuclear missiles, man. They're preparing. They're getting ready. All right? And as we say, what a beautiful time to be living, man. A beautiful time to be living. And Dawadi al-Bashmi al-Shai for giving us the eye salve to see these things and understand them. All right? But these nations are gearing up. Matter of fact, let me get Ezekiel 38 and 7. It says, be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be a guard unto them. All right. So Russia is going to be that guard unto these other nations, supplying them with ammunition, backing them in the time of trouble. All right. As it is written that an assembly of great nations from the North Country. That North Country is America. All right. And this is now the reason why we're seeing these smaller countries, stepping up to the plate. The things that are going on with these smaller countries is unheard of. No small country ever came up or defied the United States of America, ever. But now that Russia's that guard unto them, now these nations are getting the proper backing that they deserve. Okay? So it's ready, man. The time is right. This is Joel 3 and 10. It says, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Right? Again, these smaller nations, they're now stepping up to the plate. They're ready to go. They're ready to battle. And again, these smaller nations, they may not have the ability to shoot an ICBM over here. But what's more important is that, as we just saw, Iran having that hypersonic missile, all right, called, I think it was Fafr. I think that was what they called it. Probably one of the fastest missiles over in the east right now. But it said the range is 1,300 kilometers. So therefore, it has just about access to every point in the Middle East. Now, how dangerous is that? And they were speaking that this missile is so fast that the adversaries may not even have enough time to zero in on its coordinates. All right? But again, these smaller nations are now stepping up, talking about they are strong because they got, financial and military backing. And these countries that are backing these smaller countries, they're not afraid of America. They don't give a goddamn what America does. All right? Now, on two of the last clips, you heard the president over in China talking about, we're not going to shoot the first shot. We're not going to shoot that shot. But you're not going to get that second shot off. Roughly paraphrasing what he said. Right? And then you had one of the second to last video, I think it was, where Russia was deploying, a readiness program, so to say, in retaliation. Okay? So in other words, they're strategically setting up, war games in retaliation of if America starts to shoot rockets or shoot, does any kind of funny business. Vladimir Putin and his troops, they're getting ready for the response, if you will. So between China and Russia, I believe what they're essentially saying is, listen, we're not going to shoot those first shots. But because of the pride that's within, Esau Edom over here in America, they very well may shoot those first shots, man. Them first rockets. Obadiah 1:3. It says, for the pride of thy heart have deceived thee. So that pride could very well push them to shoot nuclear missiles over, to the west, to the east rather. You see? And this is why, as you read, it says, thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? One thing we know about America, they always like to, flex their muscles, man. They always like to boast and brag about how bad they are, how strong they are, how invincible they are. Which lead me to believe that America very well may be the first ones to shoot a nuclear missile, man. And again, I speak as a man. I mean, I don't know what the Lord has in store, who's going to shoot what. But just by what little bit of information we gather, these other nations are going to sit back and watch you, set the trap for yourself. There was a video back, I believe it was in 2010. Vladimir Putin said, we know that we're going to, be victorious because prophecy is on our side. I searched high and low for it, but I can't find it. But that being said, though, they know and understand prophecies on their side. I'll see the wise men in Edom, and these other nations, they get what's happening. They understand what's happening, and they know. Why do you think they're gearing up with nuclear arms and nuclear targets and nuclear missions, so to say, getting prepared? Why do you think they're doing all that? Because these things were written. All right? So it's just a matter of time, man. It's just a matter of time before, they start, sending these troops out into the field, and as they call it, a hot war. All right? But that pride, boy, that pride's going to get you. Jeremiah 50:9, it says, for lo, I will rise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations. And again, like I said earlier, even some of these nations that don't have nuclear capabilities to shoot on this side of the world, what military might they have? It's going to guard over in that region. So, and ultimately, all these nations are going to come up against Babylon the Great. Wherever their troops may be, that's where these nations are going to assemble on. They're gonna verge. They're gonna converge on that spot where these American troops are. Okay. It says, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. You see? Their arrow shall be as a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. And at the end of the day, those arrows represents the ICBM missiles to be shot into the ends of the world, to consume the foundations of America, Babylon the Great. This is the storyline. This is what's going to happen. Right? If you think something else is going to go down, or you don't think these missiles are going to be shot in this lifetime, don't worry, don't fret. Just sit tight. And may the Lord preserve you. May the Lord preserve you that you may see this thing happen and be on the wrong end of the stick, so to say, when them things start dropping like, when they start dropping on this earth. And then you will know, then you're going to know that the men that was around you, that you was laughing about, the men that you try to, point out, get us in trouble, then you know there was a prophet among you. Okay? But these nations are gearing up. These nations are ready. They're showcasing their military might. All right? They're not afraid. They're actually, looking to mix it up to get in the trenches. There's no other country on this planet that's more hated than America. There's not one other country. In the eyes of the American media, you would have a different outtake. Because what America does, it tries to make and demonizes every other leader on this planet. And the American people are so goddamn gullible, they swallowed everything down, hook, line, and sinker. Whatever this man says is gold. It is gold. All right? So that being said, I just wanted to bring a couple of those, quick videos up, to showcase, to see how these nations are showcasing their military might, to see how these leaders are prepared and are preparing for the Third World War, for the nuclear missiles to be launched and shot into the ends of the world. Okay? These smaller nations who have now acquired nuclear capability, who have now acquired, military strength and might, they're showcasing what they have. And as I always say, at the end of the day, it's all for one cause: to destroy, to burn this place, Babylon the Great, aka America, with thermonuclear fire. That's what it's going to come down to. This is what we're waiting for. All right? So all that being said, Lord willing, I'm going to see you brothers in another one. I'm going to say shalom for now.